Sidekicks, the buddy you can count on when things get tough. Bad sidekick is when their experience becomes pointless. The worst one is when they even hinder the experience. Hey Rocky, want to help me count down my top 10 worst sidekicks?
No!
Okay, I'll do it. Now remember, this is my own personal choice based on the value and helpfulness of the sidekick in a particular game. Except for one, but we'll get to that later. So here's my top 10 worst sidekicks in video game. Are you sure you don't want to help me out, Rocky?
How about you go and die?
Okay, fine. Whoever's hiring my sidekicks, they're fired.
Okay, so I know he's not technically a sidekick, but he does have that, "Oh, I want to be just like him" bullshit that falls into the category of hero wannabe. You've finished playing the boat level, and Metal Gear Solid has begun with an explosion of tactical espionage fun. Then you start the main game, and in a little way, memories start flooding back from the opening scene from the first Metal Gear Solid. Good times ahead. But then you get to the lift, and the masked man you're supposed to assume is Snake starts taking off his scuba gear. And what we're presented with is Raiden. What even? Raiden spends way too much time fantasizing about Snake, and comes across as this unsure teenager who takes all the fun out of snapping someone's neck.
The terrorists call themselves Sons of Liberty.
Sons of Liberty?
Don't get me wrong, Snake or not, this game was solid. But if there's one thing the player and Raiden have in common, is that we both wish he was Snake instead. Jak and Daxter, the product of Naughty Dog after Crash Bandicoot, so you know this is going to be a blast. Packed full of adventure, quests, charming graphics and lovable characters that'll capture your heart. Meet Jak. He's the protagonist in what would later be this epic saga. He doesn't talk though, so his friend Daxter does all the talking for him. At least, in the first one he does anyway.
We got the moves, eh, Jak?
While I find a lot of what Daxter says to be funny, with some pretty good jokes and funny one-liners, that's just part of the problem. Daxter doesn't shut up. Instead, he'll be riding out the game sat on your shoulder telling you how to play, and after a while he ends up becoming one of those friends we all know who always makes the jokes that aren't funny. And every time you die, he'll give you yet another bad joke or some criticism.
Step 1, stay alive. Step 2, think about not doing something like that again!
I like Tails, and I like Sonic 2 more. My brother would always pick up the second controller and play Tails in this co-op style mode, but Tails' existence in one-player mode without a second player is pointless and more gimmicky. He doesn't benefit the gameplay in any way until you get to the Sky Chase zone where he'd fly the plane, but until that point, you don't need Tails to follow you. In fact, it's possible that he just makes things worse sometimes. Aside from forever lagging behind you trying to keep up, only to fly back towards you when he gets left behind, he can't help you fly around and access different parts of the level.
Thank you, Sonic 3.
But the thing that puts him on my list is the special stage. In an attempt to collect as many rings as possible that requires skill and precision, Tails always seems to slam spectacularly face first into bombs at every given chance. The main reason why you'd probably fail at getting the Chaos Emerald anyway is because of Tails. You may as well just play the game as Sonic alone, or even just Tails alone. No offense, buddy. Next up is Trip from Ninja Theories Enslaved, a tale of how two people can become the best of friends if you have the right equipment. To be fair, she can be pretty useful. Trip can open doors, upgrade your gear, and it was because of her you managed to escape the slave ship in the first place, before being enslaved again by Trip. Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
But despite her memorable on-screen relation with Monkey, she still falls into the category of the helpless female character. She can barely defend herself as she's constantly under threat of being attacked by mechs, dogs, falling off ledges, and other danger the environment has to offer. And you'll find yourself spending most of your time protecting her well-crafted ass. I think the worst thing about Trip is that she can make you do all the grunt work, knowing that she can easily kill you with one command if you don't. Sure, I don't mind grabbing that power cell guarded by that big rhino so you can stay out of harm's way, only to be rescued by that rhino anyway! Simply known as Dog, this little shit's job is to fetch all your kills. But if you don't have any kills, all he does is point and laugh at you. Mocking you. Always mocking you. You could shoot hundreds of ducks in a row, but if you miss one, he'll rip your dignity to shreds. Just like a best friend should. You're most likely to use half of your bullets anyway, shooting that bitch square in the face instead of ducks. You'd even put the gun straight up against the screen so you didn't have to sit through another ridicule that frustrated gamers for many years. Sonic the Hedgehog enters a new era of speed and gameplay. While half the game was near perfection with its mix of 3-dimensional to 2-dimensional style sprint fest, the other half could be considered a complete bombshell with its sugar-coated essence of Chip, the flying scrappy-doo of the Sonic universe who's more over-obsessed with eating food rather than saving the world. It feels like Chip's role in the game is purely for the comic relief, but it's forced down your throat like, this is the joke. You're laughing yet?! He's also clearly the character who's furthest up Sonic's arse is unreal, to the point where it's almost unbearable to watch. He clearly sees him as some sort of role model, but thinks he's the most amazing thing ever.
Pretty cool, huh?
It's not cute, Chip. Stop it. Stop it right now. Stop. Anyone who's ever played or even heard of Ocarina of Time would know about Navi, the little fairy that constantly reminds you how to play the game with non-stop Hey! With your minds? I'm trying to adventure over here! How about you shut up? Jeez. It's just a good thing in Twilight Princess she's been reduced to nothing more than the cursor. No one who tells you how to play the game should be this annoying. Thanks, Nintendo! Who could forget Yoshi's Island? It's downright fun to play and it's a classic to any gamer. The only thing that makes it totally unbearable at times is the baby version of Mario riding on Yoshi's back. Every time he strays away from Yoshi, he lets out the worst sound possible to urgently remind the player to retrieve baby Mario before he floats away into the distance. Need I say more? I feel as though the cockpit isn't the place for Slippy. If there's one thing Slippy's good for, it's getting into trouble. He always seems to be on the verge of death and requesting backup when he's supposed to be there to back up you! He's quite simply put, a magnet for bad news and bullets. And once again, another sidekick spent more time saving than progressing with the mission at hand. Every 5 minutes it's like,
Ah! I'm hit! Ah!
It wouldn't be so bad if his voice wasn't annoyingly high-pitched, like polystyrene rubbing against an out-of-tune violin. However, despite the obvious flaws, I feel Slippy is just plain uninteresting. Falco is as tough as nails.
I'll take this. Get the one behind me.
And Peppy dishes out the advice you want to hear.
Do a barrel roll.
Slippy is, well, boring at best. Really boring.
Take that!
Waluigi, the evil counterpart to Luigi. He's clearly the sidekick to Wario as he's described to accompany him, but why? His only meaningful existence is a double partner for Wario in the spin-off games to antagonize Mario and Luigi. They don't even reference Waluigi, if much, or the fact that he's Wario's sidekick outside of those games. He's a bad copy of an existing sidekick. I mean, Wario works because he's like the anti-Mario, but does he really need this man-child of a buddy? He has no real backstory, and his only lead role is in Dance Dance Revolution. But that's just a dance game, and that doesn't really count, because no one ever plays it. He did give us an awesome track in Mario Kart DS, but that's it! The level would still work just as fine with anybody else's face plastered over it. Let's just hope this half-baked villain continues to be neglected to side projects where he belongs.
Hi there, thanks for watching my video, hope you enjoyed it. why not leave me a comment to tell me your worst video game sidekick? Also visit my page, I have a ton of Let's Plays videos. Why not like or subscribe? And until next time, bye bye!